Out of the main console companies in the market right now, Microsoft has to be the worst. The amount of games they've butchered is astonishing and is unrivaled in the gaming developer sphere. Alright, fine, near unrivaled, but that still shouldn't discredit to how awful developers they are. However, Microsoft actually has 2 good games, and with the Cuphead DLC coming, I was excited to check out Ori and the Will-O-Wisp first. However, before I go into Ori of the Will-O-Wisp, I have to talk about the predecessor, Ori and the Blind Forest first. Ori and the Blind Forest was a pretty good game, however I feel like the game was occasionally bogged down by 3 things. 1, there were some weird difficulty spikes here and there. 2, the combat isn't all that fleshed out and gets a little repetitive after playing for a while. And 3, backtracking. This was probably the biggest issue for me. With the save points being so scarce, every time you die, you most likely have to do a platforming section over and over again. Alongside that, a lot of the time spent playing this game has you traveling from one side of the map to another, and while there are warp points here and there, they're decently uncommon to come across, which makes it a lot harder at times. Which still makes it so at a lot of times I'm just walking from place to place I've already seen and beat before I get to the next objective. However, the game still has some really great high points. The art style is one of the best I've seen in any game to date, with this beautiful art style where every area of the game is perpetrated with a beauty that couldn't be achieved if the game was a 3D platformer. The platform feels really natural almost all the time. The moves you are granted are placed perfectly within the story, and they perfectly teach you how to use said moves. The soundtrack to this thing is fitting and it sounds really nice, and some of these chase scenes and boss fights are really amazing and show a lot of potential. So while I still do think this game is pretty good, there are some stupid things that bog it down. However, with Ori and the Will-O-Wisps, I finally feel like I see what the developers were trying to accomplish with the first game. The art style is more glamorous and more beautiful than ever. The first 15 minutes of this game absolutely blew me away with this incredibly detailed art style. The sun glistening through the trees and clouds, Ori illuminating through the dark, the designs of these zany characters. The art style is even better than the first, and possibly even the best I've seen in the game, period. The scenery of the game is beautiful too. There are these vast and insanely good looking environments that range from a desolate and sandy desert to an underwater utopia of color. The combat in the game is vastly improved. While most of the time in the original game you were just using one attack and utilizing other abilities like the bash and the stomp ability, Ori and the Will-O-Wisp introduces a whole new combat system. You can switch between a multitude of weapons, some of which including a hammer, a sword, a bow and arrow, and many other weapons that you can switch between. Platforming this game is just as fun, if not better, than the first game too. The same platforming charm is brought in full to this game without the weird difficulty spikes. The game's overall charm is here too. The characters all bring their unique energy and look to the game. These chase scenes are just as cinematic and epic as in the first game, each of them putting you into tense scenarios where you have to pick up where to go at lightning fast speed. The soundtrack is also just as good as the first game, if not better. 1 minute you're deciphering runes, looking around with a soothing yet eerie soundtrack, and the next second, wah! A giant worm comes out of the ground and chases you as this insane orchestral theme follows you while you're desperately trying to get to safety. And then the next second you've escaped and you're glancing at a beautiful tree as the haunting flute comes in and grants your safety. The backtracking is even minimized in this game too. While the backtracking is still there, the warp points appear to be much more common in this game than the last game, and that makes traveling so much easier. And even when I'm backtracking, a lot of the time I find myself getting sidetracked by the world's many offerings that aren't a part of the main story. The game isn't perfect. I do feel like some of the more gimmicky levels do drag a bit. Alongside that, there's a bit of backtracking that does get annoying and feel a bit repetitive. However, Ori and the Will-O-Wisp is still one of the best games I've played in a while and will go down as one of my favorite games of the year. Nine out of 10.
I'm Mr. King Dice. I'm the gamest in the land. I never play nice. I'm the devil's right-hand man.